keeping in mind that, Donald Trump carried 53% of the white female vote, how women generally, I think we know how African-American women are going to vote in this election. I mean, they've been among the most, competent, brilliant, showing up activists, against Donald Trump. But now that, now that more of these stories have come out, the stories, I mean, we didn't even know until after the election about Stormy Daniels. We didn't know until after the election about Karen McDougal. I mean, it just, we had no idea, right? I mean, Donald Trump successfully buried that. He committed a crime in doing so, and that's why Michael Cohen is sitting in jail. And of course, the Bill Barr's Justice Department is choosing not to prosecute Donald Trump for campaign finance violations, even though, Michael Cohen got prosecuted for this. So in the previous hours, we were talking about Trump is doubling down on race. He's betting that, Nixon's Southern strategy, which was done subtly, relatively subtly by Nixon and relatively subtly by Reagan, that Trump has, and that Donald Trump has taken to, a whole new scale, new whatever you want to call it. Whether women are going to stay, whether white women in particular are going to stay with Donald Trump or not. And so, the question is, well, in fact, let me just lay out some of the details here. Just from women's point of view, right? Beyond just the horrors of, his having affairs with a year-long affair with Karen McDougal, a one-night stand with Stormy Daniels, all in the year that Melania gave birth to their youngest child. On top of all that, Trump is working aggressively to overturn the entire Affordable Care Act, which has multiple layers of protection for women with regard to health care in it. Preventative cancer screenings, I mean, it's just a whole spectrum of stuff, birth control, the access to birth control, things like that, things that are worthwhile and work for women. He has aggressively pushed an agenda of not allowing women to choose whether or not to have an abortion. He has backed legislation that bans abortions after as little as 6 weeks, frankly. He just yesterday or the day before issued this gag rule that any doctor, any clinic, any organization that gets any federal funding that mentions abortion gets no more federal funding. That even advises women that abortion is an option if they're pregnant and don't want to be pregnant, that they lose their federal funding. And I think, frankly, this is what's behind the former president of Planned Parenthood losing her job yesterday. And that's kind of a whole nother story. But Trump has done this. He's repeatedly sought to let employers opt out of the Affordable Care Act provisions that protect women, specifically contraception, no-cost contraception. He has revoked, literally taken, by executive order, undone protections against sexual harassment in the workplace. He has undone Obama-era executive orders, to fix paycheck disparities. The Trump administration rescinded the campus sexual assault guidelines, which require colleges to take allegations of sexual assault seriously and hold perpetrators accountable. And then Mike Pence, I mean, his number two, Pence has led the White House agenda against the right to choose whether or not to have an abortion. He said he wants to put Roe v. Wade, quote, on the ash heap of history. He led the push, the administration's push to defund fetal tissue research, which, could lead to medical breakthroughs that could save all of our lives. Mike Pence, as governor of Indiana, tried to defund Planned Parenthood multiple times, and every single year he was in office signed an abortion ban. In Indiana, he signed a law to require that if you have a miscarriage, you must have a funeral. or you must cremate the remains. This led to the whole, periods for Pence thing, that hashtag that I think everybody's forgotten. For more than a decade, he's been probably the leading guy in Congress for a global gag rule. In other words, any organization anywhere in the world that we may be funding or helping out in any way that mentions abortion as as one of the options that are available to women in terms of their health and reproductive freedom, no money from the United States. As governor, he signed a bill that made it harder for women in Indiana to just get the abortion pill, mifepristone. He supported a bill in Congress to make it illegal to cross state lines to get an abortion. Literally. Illegal. In Congress, he co-sponsored a bill that would allow hospitals to refuse to perform an abortion on a woman who needs one to live. Right? If the question is, does mom die and the baby lives, or does the baby die? At this point, it's not a baby, it's a fetus, but, and mom lives. I mean, this decision, it's rare, but it happens. And Pence, co-sponsored a bill, and this was mostly in support, I suppose, of Catholic hospitals, to say, no, mom gets to die, the baby's more important. He supported a federal ban on abortions after 20 weeks. He co-sponsored a federal personhood amendment. He repeatedly voted against the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act in Congress. This is Mike Pence. He blamed career mothers for giving children, quote, the short end of the emotional stick. In other words, if you going to work, he wants to rewrite the tax code to punish women who work, who have children. I mean, this is what Pence and Trump are really all about. So, is the race card going to work for them? Is the gender card going to work for them?